2 days after former President Jacob Zuma's deadline to begin his prison sentence, the Pietermaritzburg High Court will hear his urgent application to interdict the police from arresting him. The Constitutional Court sentenced Zuma to 15 months in prison without the option of an appeal. He was ordered to report to the Nkandla or Johannesburg Central Police Station, failing which Police Minister Bheki Cele and the National Commissioner of the Police, Xoli, are permitted to take the necessary steps to deliver him to jail. Now, the Police Minister Bheki Cele joins me now to discuss these developments. Minister, thank you very much for your time. There is a letter that is doing the rounds this morning, and it's a letter from the Office of the State Attorney in Pretoria purporting to speak on your behalf and the Commissioner's behalf, writing to the Constitutional Court. Firstly, is this letter authentic?
Well, we did make the request to the State Attorney on our behalf to write the letter.
All right, so the letter is authentic, Minister. So let's talk about this letter briefly then. There is a particular sentence. It is paragraph 8, and I just want to read it so that the viewers understand why I want to premise my question around it. You say, or the letter says, in view of the unique situation presented by the developments and the legal matrix involved, our clients will, out of respect of the unfolding litigation, hold further actions they are expected to take in terms of the Honourable Court's orders in abeyance. That's a very important word, pending the finalization of the litigation. You are, in essence...
Proceed, Xoli.
All right, let me continue then.
Yes, continue.
Alternatively, pending any directions the Honourable Acting Chief Justice may possibly issue regarding the conduct of the litigation and any other related matter relevant to the litigation. That's the end of the sentence, Minister.
Yes.
In essence here, are you asking the court that you be allowed to not effect arrest until all the court processes that are now ongoing, or are you telling the court that this is the step that you're going to take?
Who I am to tell the court. Who I am to tell the court.
But the letter is instructive.
When we instructed that after Mr. Zuma will have 5 days, Xoli, and then 3 days down the line, of which is still within our time, by the way, 3 days ends tomorrow at 12 midnight. Mm-hmm. There was no if and but. It was a clear, straight issue. Then new twists and turns came up, which is today and which is on the 12th. We are only seeking the clarification and making that request. But the honors, that's why I said to read that, pending any direction. So our direction can be given and we'll follow that direction. We have no issue at all of not honoring the court, but we wanted to be clarified so that we understand whether we do this at the end of all processes that, by the way, join later, which were not part of the origin of the instruction, or we are still instructed. Hence, we put it in the hands of the court, in the hands of the acting Chief Justice, that the direction will be still taken if it's given.
All right. Minister, we all know that the application of the former president for a rescission of this decision to imprison him will only be heard by the Constitutional Court on the 12th. Today, what is important is the case that is taking place in Pietermaritzburg. Have you filed papers to oppose that particular application?
Not opposing. We have filed the papers simply saying we'll abide by the court. Whatever court tells us, we'll do it.
So if you've not filed the opposing papers there, Minister, you will understand then why former President Jacob Zuma's lawyers appear to use this, your reticence about opposing this application, but now you're adding further action on this by writing to the Constitutional Court. And you're saying that you are seeking clarity on whether or not to effect arrest pending the finalization of these court processes. So the signal that is being read by Zuma's lawyers here is that there is a lack of enthusiasm from your side to operationalize the order. Is that what you want the public to read from this?
Well, I hear from you. We are not lawyers who are not in the part of the court. We're at the end tail where we take instructions. That's the reason we say that we'll still be bound by any direction that the office of the Deputy Chief Justice give to us. We're not saying we'll sit there and wait. We are saying we are looking that space for the things to be finalized. If not finalized, we are here to listen what direction is given to us, and we'll take that direction.
Have you had any indication from the Chief Justice's office as to when they will likely respond to your letter?
Not yet.
All right. Minister, what is the police's threat analysis should the former President Jacob Zuma be forced to go to jail before the hearing of the 12th?
You can't be serious, that I come with those analyses and put them here before even the police implement those things and the strategy that the police will use against those threats if they are there. Those definitely things that they cannot be discussed.
Minister, you actually did discuss this, because you told us yesterday that the police were crawling Nkandla on Sunday. There were those who were in police uniform, and there were also intelligence officials. But despite all of that, journalists were still assaulted. Is there a plan, Minister, to make sure that you prevent any sort of violence? And by the way, you already are treading on thin ice here, Minister, because people have already been harmed as a result of what took place in Nkandla. So I would really listen keenly to your response here.
You make me wonder that I've said people were crawling around there. You were there, I think, when Sbu played the clip from the provincial commissioner there. And not Cele spoke about crawling and all that kind of thing. Having said so, I'm sure you expect that I'll speak on behalf of the police. Let's say, Xoli, the problem would be that not all of us, we understand the things that happen on the ground and then the response thereafter. Mm-hmm. On that particular day, that would be your Sunday, was a culmination of the planning of causing some trouble there. The information came on Thursday that there were people that were armed who went to mingle among and within the people that were there. And most people that were there would be kids, children, young people, women, and old people. And then police, if they go there with any form of bravado, would have been forced, when anybody shoots from that crowd, to respond. The problem in that response may be if there is a clear kind of target and fighting between the police and whoever that was armed, of which we have the places where they came from, some of these people would be fine. Mm. But it would not be proper for them to go in the middle of women, children, old women, and everybody there, and the police begin to respond. And then we begin to get a very terrible situation where kids and women die. With all the bravado, that the police had. By the way, they did have that bravado police. We had proper units there. They were based not very far from the area. But in the looking of the things, it was not going to be a proper thing to run over that situation. And you and me, by now, we are talking about how many bodies we picked up there. You will be asking the same question. Why did you allow those people to die? It's fine that now we're talking about the situation where maybe the state at this time is looked to have been weak, as some people are making that claim. You know, if you go to your 205 sub 3, that's your constitution, instruct the police to do few things. One thing that is instruction there is to prevent, to combat any form of crime, to investigate the crime, but also to enforce the law, but also to make sure that the inhabitants of the land are safe.
Minister,
So it's in the same sentence.
Minister, you've said a mouthful. So, but what I pick up from you is that you are worried about the state being seen as looking weak. What hinges on this, Minister, and whether or not you're going to demonstrate that you are not weak, is what are you going to do after the court hearing today in Pietermaritzburg? Let's just hear that first. Are you going to effect an arrest? Because as things stand, the instruction from the Constitutional Court is clear. By you asking for clarity, that is something that can be interpreted as you playing politics. What are you going to do if the Pietermaritzburg High Court comes out today to say, we don't have jurisdiction to hear this? This is a matter of the Apex Court.
There are two things, Xoli. We have written the letter and we have put the onus on the court to give us direction.
The court has given direction, Minister.
Okay, listen, Xoli. If they don't give us direction, we do have a direction that ends on 12 midnight on Wednesday. And then we know that direction. And if there is no new direction, we do have a direction that ends at 12 midnight on Wednesday.
Let's be clear, Minister. Let's be clear then. Explain to the public what that direction is from the Constitutional Court.
The direction is that if Mr. Zuma do not hand himself, the South African police will have to arrest him, and that instruction is for the Minister and the National Commissioner. And we have almost 2 days to play around that.
All right. Now, let's get back to the game plan here, Minister. Based on research, political violence in KZN, and I'm phrasing this question very carefully, political violence in KZN is, in some cases, perpetrated through the taxi industry. How thorough is your intelligence gathering in that regard?
Well, taxi violence is a national problem, because it's not just KZN. But there is a strong relationship of taxi violence between Gauteng and KZN. And unfortunately, more people that would be arrested even in Gauteng, there would have been people originally from KZN. So that's why there are special units, taxi violence task teams in the country and in the provinces dealing with that matter, the investigation of the taxi violence. But one thing that has been discovered, by the way, Cole, is that the pool of Nkabi that murder and maim people in the taxi violence would be the same people that are also hired to kill people politically.
Yes.
They would be the same people that go the bank robberies and do cash heist. So if you deal decisively with one area on this matter, you might find that generically we are dealing with violence across many other sectors of the society.
Minister, yesterday you used Marikana as justification for why police did not act against people who were blatantly breaking the lockdown regulations. Here's my question to you. 9 years after the Marikana incident, the Marikana massacre, are you telling the public that the police have not found new ways to disperse armed protesters?
Well, to start with, it was not justification, it was a referral. It was not justification. The Marikana put a new history in the Republic of South Africa under the new dispensation. History is the best teacher. If you can read and understand and learn from the history, you don't worth to be here and lead and live. Marikana, people died, and even today we're still talking about it. As the police were still paying compensation, there are people that are still in court, there are generals that are still in court, it's continuing at court. So we had to make referral and take lessons from that. After Marikana, there was a Falam Commission and many other things that were said. One thing that Falam Commission said was we need to train extra POP, public order policing people. And those are the people that you saw there at one of the roadblock. Falam want to say bravado that leads to killing does not work, because the police have the whole time to come and still infect and make sure that people that have broken the law are arrested.
All right.
I did say, and I repeat, people will be arrested. Actually, the action has started.
What do you mean the action has started? What do you mean action has started, Minister? Who's been arrested?
It's exactly that.
Who has been arrested thus far?
It's exactly that, Xoli. Cases have been opened already now. People have been identified. Police are working with the NPA so that we are strengthening our case, so that when it goes to court and that case is well planned and is well thought.
All right.
3 cases.
Here's a quick question, Minister.
Yes.
Are the organizers of the gathering in Nkandla part of those people who are in your sites?
Cases have been opened, Xoli, 3 of them, and 1 of the inquiry they have been opened, and that is ongoing. That is an ongoing process. But as I've said to you, it has already started.
All right. I just want to conclude on this issue of Marikana, Minister, very quickly. Police and what happened in Nkandla. Some people, members of the public, are going to read into that action or non-action that police in nowadays are acting or proceed with fear when faced with people who ought not to be threatening and wielding weapons in public in the first place?
Well, police are faced with the reality to say, as they're instructed by the Constitution to enforce the law, they're also instructed by that Constitution to make sure that the inhabitants are safe. But after that, there are other lessons, as I'm saying to you, that Falam Commission will learn a lot out of it. The arrest means arresting you in action, as you do that particular thing, if the situation allows. But if not, there's nothing wrong with the police coming back to effect the arrest to those people that have committed the crime, as it's happening as I speak to you.
All right, Minister, as we wind down this interview, I want to go back to what is expected of you in as far as the former president, Jacob Zuma, is concerned. And I want to say this to you, that the action that you and your office will likely take in the coming days, whichever way you decide to proceed, this is one of those rare moments in this country which in all probability will be recorded in history books. What do I mean? I want to crystallize this for you. There's a view, Minister, that this is a unique opportunity for the country to close the chapter of abuse of power and corruption. Have you given some thoughts to this? And how would you like to be remembered at a time like this?
Well, my job is clear. I'm instructed to do what the court has decided. So that was the court decision, and to find those narratives you talk about and confirm on them. And after that, if they find that somebody should be incarcerated for that, instruct somebody. So I'm not going to enter the territory and terrain of the court. My instruction is very clear, not to reread that, not to go back and analyze, but I've been told what to do.
Minister, Swaziland is a neighboring country of South Africa. Yesterday we saw marchers going to the embassy in Pretoria to say that South Africa stand with us. As a cabinet minister and as a senior ANC member, what have we done as a country in aid of the people of Swaziland who are saying that they are faced with a dictatorship? We sought refuge in Swaziland, among other places or among other countries. It's their turn now to look to us. What would you say to them?
Well, I don't know how you measure seniority, as you say I'm a senior member, but fine, that is your measurement. The Minister of DECO, Dr. Pando, 2 days ago was in Swaziland, and soon she's going to be going there. Maybe it's not my territory to determine and tell what is she doing there as a Minister of International Affairs. But South Africa is the part of a resolution together with other SADC ministers. But Pando has been there, and she's going back there, which means South Africa is not standing by, which means South Africa is doing something.
All right, Minister, let me digress a little bit before I end the conversation. You will know that there is an important matter of the backlog in terms of DNA being processed. What is the status right now?
The status of the DNA was to be corrected, of which we have begun to correct it. And I've been told, actually I was briefed 3 or 4 days ago, one has taken the decision that every day for next 4 weeks will be briefed every morning. On 210 backlog that was there, I think we have eaten down to 180 now, Xoli, which means cases are beginning to move. I can even be specific, Xoli, on this one, because it has been quite an emotional issue. In Mpumalanga, Hammersdale, the township, not the province, there was a Ngobo family there who could not bury their loved one because of the DNA for 8 months, Xoli, which is quite an emotional issue. I'm glad to say that thing has been finalized, that matter. They approached the minister worked on it with the leadership of the South African Police, especially Deputy National Commissioner Zuma, and that family is ready to bury that. So we are beginning to grind forward. Ours is to make sure that such a thing doesn't happen again.
Minister, it would be remiss of me to let you go without asking you to wear your ANC hat for the moment and ask about the NEC meeting yesterday. Are you able to tell us what direction the party is likely to take on this important issue of the former president?
Why do you want me to be presumptuous? It has been you announcing that the DSG is coming after me. Why should she come thereafter?
You can't blame me for taking chances.
And I'm not DSG, wait for the DSG to come. I was in the meeting. I know the resolutions, but I'm not the DSG of the African National Congress.
Minister Bheki Cele, thank you very much, Minister of Police, for granting us your time.